Hi, welcome
Howdy,
to the
everyone.
show. Hi,
Welcome to
Peggy.
Vets Coming Clean, where we ask our guests, "What have you seen?" Hi, Granny. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm so happy to be here with you.
This is our first show, and so excited that you're joining me in this venture. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I am really excited because our show is going to be an experience. I'm
Yes, it is,
excited.
Granny.
It's going to be really good. In fact, I have been watching and studying and trying to learn all this lingo, and I am not really good at lingo stuff. So, I'm going to have to refer to you on a lot of things. But the one thing that I'm excited about is that the vision of the show is helping veterans and anybody actually on sharing their stories in a safe place and not being judged and share their experiences. I mean, I know I have my experiences. I've never really shared except for maybe a few family members or friends, but other than that I haven't talked publicly about anything. And I don't know about you, if you've talked publicly about your experiences or not, have you?
No, I haven't, Granny. I've kept my mouth shut. I was raised, what goes on at home stays at home, and then the military get in there and they say what goes TDY stays TDY.
Mm-hmm.
So all the programming throughout my life, I learned to keep my mouth shut. No matter what I saw, no matter how horrible it was, I kept my mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
I was law enforcement in the military, and I saw a lot of bad things, but I learned that there were also bad law enforcement officers that you had to keep your mouth shut or else your life would be in danger. And so, because of that and because of other careers I've had throughout my life, I realized that it makes people sick when they keep their mouth shut. They see injustices and done to others and bad things and suffering done to others. And I'm like, you know what? I ended up getting sick. But the way I healed myself through my meditation was working on my trauma in that meditation. And I was realized it's because I kept my mouth shut all those years. I didn't express those emotions and get it out that I got so sick.
Now, you were in situations that, because what we talk about is not just experiences of trauma in the military, but we're talking about the unexplainable experiences, like UAPs or UFOs or unexplained experiences that, um, in the military, you had to sign a non-disclosure, and a lot of that is coming to light right now within our country and other countries around the world, where our veterans are able to share their stories that they, were threatened, and that trauma,
Right.
and not allowed to talk about it. And anything that we
Well, and
share, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, just because of that, I noticed when I was at my low point, it was hard to find groups outside the VA to find other veterans to talk to share with, or other
Mm-hmm.
people, period. Everybody everywhere wanted money. And when you're disabled, that's one thing you do not have an abundance of.
Right.
You're
I mean,
trying everything you can to get your appointments. And
right.
because of that, I decided, you know what, let's start a show where we can have people come on, no matter what they've seen. They work in the medical career field and they need to talk about stuff they've seen. We're your people. It doesn't matter. If you've seen something and you need to talk about it, we're going to be here. And what we're going to do is on the third Saturday of every month, we're asking for mental health professionals that need volunteer hours to send their certification to the Vets Coming Clean submit form. Send your certifications if you want to volunteer to help us out. But we're asking for mental health professionals to show up, and we're leaving this as an open Zoom to everybody to come and talk. And what we'll do is we'll start it open, and you and I and Mike, who we'll bring here in a minute, my husband, will be the host of the Zoom meeting. And then we'll break out into breakout rooms. We get enough volunteers to help us, and we'll have support calls. But we're going to call these mess calls because in the military, we all went to the mess hall and had chow, and we sat down and
Mm-hmm.
we ate. and we chilled out.
Right.
And so we're
Right.
going to have a once a month mess call, and we'll do the breakout rooms for so long, and then we'll come back into the main room, have a final chit powwow. People can talk, and then we'll leave and depart. But this way, give somebody hope, something to look forward to, something so that
Right.
even if they're homeless on the street, if they can get to a computer or a phone, they can get to our support call. And that's very vital, is people know that there's somewhere that they can reach out to, and there's going to be other people, especially if they don't have anybody.
Yeah, you're not alone.
That's correct.
You are not alone. And that's the other thing is that I find really cool is that in being able to share about those experiences that the military, especially, have been held back on talking about what they've seen, like fighter pilots seeing UAPs that you know, they're the experts. They're up there. They're up close, and they're flying at high speeds, and these UAPs are just outflying them, even teasing them. There's been cases to where they've been, had actually firefighting.
Well, I've
Planes have
heard
been.
rumors, Granny. Have you heard rumors about the bodies and actual beams they've recovered from these ships that have crashed?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean they do exist. I mean there are scientists that actually, even though they signed the non-disclosures at their end of life, that had restated what they had seen, what they did. And there's two separate videos of the aliens that were biopsied that they showed. The first video is actually the first video that they said was the fake, is actually the real one. The
Oh,
second,
really?
yeah, and you could tell the difference between the two. There was a medical doctor that went step by step on the dissection of what that video showed compared to the second video that was released. And the first video, actually, that's the real alien, is a gray, and they have his leg exposed. They have his whole body exposed. It's not covered up. And if you watch the video from the beginning to the end, you can see how precise they were in the dissection of this creature. In the second video, you could tell that it's completely fake. They have him covered up. His feet are almost human like, to where the other video, it is completely the difference. And so, in after World War II, they had decided to go ahead when they started having these alien experiences happening. They all did, all the countries were doing cover ups. One, because they didn't want another war to happen. They didn't want the other country to find out if they were getting alien help. So if
Sounds
they
like they were
let,
doing a finders keepers. You know what would
exactly,
I would really have a hard time if I had to guard these extraterrestrial beings. You know why? Because they're just visiting other planets. Like when we go to visit family, that's what they're doing, is visiting, and they have a wreck. We're acting like toddlers here, experimenting and doing stuff to them, and that's not right. We have no right to do that to them. They came here to visit, and who made us God? You know?
well,
Apparently,
and
they're smarter than us. They're able to travel the universe, but we're treating them like this. No wonder we're not getting help. We're
well,
abusing them.
they had in 18, I can't remember the exact date, 1800s. I'll just put it that way. In the 1800s, they have the first recorded alien ship crash. Okay? Some cowboys
Hmm.
out working the cattle came upon them. The alien was killed. They brought him to town. The townspeople gave him a burial, a Christian burial, put him in the
Was this the one in
grave.
Texas?
I can't remember. I think it was in Texas. And they gave him a burial, and they tore apart the spaceship and put it down one of the farmers' dead wells that was no longer giving up water. And as time went along, people tried to get in and steal the ship parts. And so the farmer ended up putting cement down there so that it was in, nobody could get into it any further. But that's the first recorded, and the town will not allow anybody to dig up the grave. I'm sure the
Right.
government has probably already gone in there and taken it and,
Oh,
without
you
the
know.
county know it. Our government
Well,
is
if I
not.
remember correctly, didn't the gentleman get cancer from dealing with that as well?
Yes, he did.
It's
He
probably
ended
the
up dying.
radiation from the aircraft.
Yes, yes. And
But
that's the other thing.
it's stuff like that. That's, if we have all this evidence, why wasn't that not presented in front of Congress when they're doing this disclosure? Everybody's been hearing this, that, and the other for years. We want to see the people that you've been holding captive. That's not right. We have no right to do that to other people. We're
Well,
acting like kids, spoiled, rotten kids.
well, there's also there's quite a few people that have come forward, quite a few that have been killed coming forward. And one of the persons has claimed that he actually worked as a weather balloon person in Utah, that there was 3 secret bases that aliens actually stayed on,
Oh, wow.
and that he was the only human allowed on that base, and that the aliens would actually come up and they would bring their children to watch him set off the weather balloon. And they would have on certain nights that the aliens would come in and more would take off, and then they would, new ones would come in. And they had a contract with the government on things. And I think it was Truman. The rumor is that Truman had made a deal, had a meeting with the aliens. And this is all, like I said, hearsay, but he made a deal that they could stay on the planet and do their experiments. They were allowed to only have so many people to take, but that got out of hand. And so now the government is kind of in a situation to where we have like a coexistence with the aliens. And there's not just one race of aliens, that there's several. And they're saying the most top dog is, we were just talking about them. I don't want to say lizard. What is it?
Mike, you remember, babe?
What is it? The lizards ones that look like
they're reptilians, babe? Is that what they are?
Reptilians.
I believe it's reptilians.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, the reptilians are the ones that are like in charge. The Greys work for the reptilians, and then they have this, downward spiral of who's who and what their jobs are as far as on the planet Earth, that we actually coexist with them. And then in exchange, we get the technology. And I think that
And you say this was during the Truman era?
Yeah, this is Truman. He made a deal with the aliens. And so I think what's happened is that, remember, we had such a big boom on technology. And that's why America became top dog. I think now that the aliens have spread out and we are no longer top dog. Who's top dog? China. So they have more
Yeah,
technology.
that's part of the reason. If you look at the shirts that Michael and I are wearing are supporting the freedom of speech in Tibet. The free speech there is in danger because of China itself. Mike, what were we being told about the children there? How much money it costs to give them an education for a year?
The way it was explained to me, that it just for a tutor for one child, it only costs $20 a year or something like that. It's actually very inexpensive. So I believe that's the reason they're trying to raise money so they can help the children in India.
And they
Interesting.
really need the help. You know, Granny, a lot of the information I found to heal myself was actually from Tibetan Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that's probably why China's trying to silence Tibet. It's because they don't want their control over the world. The big pharma and everybody else doesn't want to lose that control. You know, I've been doing research and I found out that the term weed, as we call cannabis, was put out not long before they started mass producing weed killers. And those
Right.
weed killers were being produced and targeted for weeds outside our homes. Well, those common weeds that are outside our homes that they're making us byproduct to kill is natural medicine that you can heal with. So you're paying to kill the weeds, but then the big pharma is over here growing these weeds and putting them in your medicine and adding whatever synthetic chemicals they want. So there's 2 times you're getting charged. And then any chemicals that cause problems or toxin buildups in your body from killing the weeds or taking the synthetic pharmacy medicine, well, that ends up putting you on more medicine. So they're hitting you 3 times total. This has been all about money since World War II. All
Oh,
these
yeah.
laws and treaties got changed around the world. You know, they changed the frequency of music worldwide from 432 hertz, which is in frequency and resonance with the planet Earth, and they changed it to 440 hertz. When you play something at 440 hertz, it causes anger and negative feelings. When I was disabled, I could not go to a concert that was at 440 hertz because I felt like I was fixing to have a seizure the entire time. I was overstimulated and it felt like I was being screamed at all the time. But if I went somewhere where they had music at 432 hertz, everything calmed down. My breathing slowed down. I could relax. I was happy. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, holy cow, there's something here. And so I started digging. You can heal with music, you can heal with different light frequencies, you can heal with natural herbs. It's just a matter of reminding your body what it's supposed to be doing, and it'll take over and it'll heal you from anything. I mean, all the things that I had, the complex renal pain syndrome, the degenerative disc disease, torn rotator cuff, those 3 things, and the narrowing in my spinal column, those things where I was told those were incurable. No way to come back from, Granny. And I cleaned up my diet. And when we were cleaning up my diet, I discovered that we'd go to big name brand places to get organic foods, or we go to local grocery store with local farmers to organic foods. I noticed if I went to these big name places for organic foods, I'd have to eat twice as much of the organic non-GMO foods to get full as I would from the local farmers. So I ended up having to spend twice as much to stay healthy going to these big brands. I finally
Mm-hmm.
understood why everybody says shop local. I understood
Right.
it perfectly. And so I started talking to these people in these local stores, and I find out the problem is because some of the employees they got at these local stores are sick when they first work there. You know why
Mm-hmm.
they're sick, Granny? They're sick because they're making them irradiate all the produce to make it last longer.
Oh, yeah. They
Well,
put the chemicals in the
it might
meat
be making
to.
it last. It's making it last longer, but what's it doing to our bodies? If it's making them sick doing this to this stuff in short periods of
Mm-hmm.
time, what's it doing to your body being exposed to it over a prolonged period? That's no wonder we've got so many autoimmune diseases that have popped up in cancer since World War II.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
all a big scheme to make money
Oh, yeah.
everywhere. Greed and ego has taken over. That's why
It's always
that
been
new
from the beginning
veteran
of time.
popped out with that song this last week. That's why he said he wasn't going to take money for it because he realized that it's all about the money. They control you with the money. That's why I will never put money in crypto because you put your money in crypto, guess what? You mess up and they don't like what you did, they're going to yank all your funds and you're going to be at zero.
Well, they're going to do that anyway
It,
with the banking system, with having your one money bank or whatever, one world bank.
right,
That's what
right.
Biden signed us
It's
up
all
for.
so they can control.
Mm-hmm.
So they can control
Yes,
their narrative and their agenda and what they want, not what's best for
exactly.
everybody. And that's
Well,
what's sad. That's why I thought we needed to make a show so people could come forward and start talking about what they've seen, what their
our
reality
experience.
is.
Yeah, because if you
Yes.
look at just in the food alone, that could be 5 or 6 shows in itself, because there's so many chemicals that are put into our food. That, I mean, look at, they're trying to take our meat away. What the heck is that? They're taking and they're killing. They're making farmers kill their cattle. They're not allowed to grow certain foods. They have to put these chemicals on the foods to be able to sell to the public. And, our farmers are going out of business
Well, I know
overseas.
part of it's because of the alpha gal. I can't have mammal. I'm allergic to all mammal. I can't
Hmm.
have soap products with mammal in it and everything. And so when I was sick, I deep dove. And you know what I found out caused that alpha gal? It was ticks, Granny. Ticks that were genetically modified by somebody and then released into the wild. And these ticks caused alpha gal. And the same individual that released these ticks owns companies that provide vegan burgers and food. It was all pre-planned.
Well, I think it is. I think it's all pre-planned. Kissinger has a video that they did years ago on if he was in control and how to fix the world, and exactly step by step on how he would do population control, because that's the big deal. Is they keep saying that we have too many people on the planet, we need to get rid of some. uh,
But our
and
control, Granny, yes, it's getting rid of people, but it's also getting rid of the wildlife. Did you know that there are species of animal, all mammals, have endocannabinoid receptors? I was doing a talk with people on the round table with the BAC last night, and
mhm,
a gentleman was explaining to me that yes, other mammals have endocannabinoid receptors, and if you start researching, there's a bird species, little finch, that eats flax seeds or hemp seeds. So if we refer back to when I was growing up, my little brother, we went and saw The Lion King and the Circle of Life. And if you start
right.
looking at the bigger picture here, what does that bird eat? Well, it eats the hemp seeds and the flax seeds. Well, we just took half of its diet out. Well, if that bird species starts falling out, what consumes that? It's going to be a domino effect if we don't stop eradicating natural medicine. Something doesn't grow on this planet unless there is something on this planet that uses it. We as humans have no right, no ownership to this planet, no right whatsoever to eradicate something that grows because there is something on this planet that uses it to
It's
survive.
here for something.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
That's really a good point. That brings us to the bigger picture. That's the main reason we're trying to get people on here that actually have witnessed things and actually can bring the level of reality that needs to come to light. A lot of things get turned into urban legend, urban myth. The internet's rife with it horribly.
Hmm.
So, I think that's one of the things I think this show is going to provide for everybody is you'll actually get to hear from real people that have been in real places and actually, share their experiences. I think it's going to be great.
Well, I want to know, because this is our breakout show. And so I think that, next week we're going to have a guest. Yay! I'm
Yes,
excited
we
about it.
are. Yeah,
And
we're going to have Laura
so,
Eisenhower on next week.
yes, and this
It's
is the,
actually September 12th, guys, not this week because Granny has another eye surgery. It'll be the following week
yeah.
on September 12th. I'm very excited about this one.
And Laura Eisenhower is the granddaughter or great granddaughter? Which one?
Great granddaughter, I believe, yes, of President Dwight D. Eisenhower.
There we go. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And
And
then we're going to interview Dr. Charnel Wolverton on September 19th.
mhm,
She's a naturopathic doctor, so she can help
yes,
elaborate on some of her experiences in the medical field or some of the stuff she's seen, because I know she
yes.
herself was a military brat. And then
Oh,
on
yeah.
September 26th, we're going to have Miss Barbara Butcher. She has a new book out. She, believe it or not, was the medical examiner for the World Trade Centers on 9/11. So I'm very
That's going to
excited to
be,
interview her.
yes, yes.
And you
So
told
we
me you're
have,
coming, even though you're having surgery that day, Granny.
I
You
am
don't have
so
to come.
excited. I'm going to come. I may not be able to talk and I may be drooling. I'll have a big old club of napkins or something. I don't know. But
You'll
yeah, I want to come. I want to find out what's going on. Can't,
and
yeah.
We
and then on October 3rd, we're interviewing a fellow Navy personnel who it was personnel on what was it, the Nimitz, Michael? You looked
Yes.
into him.
Yeah, he was one of the. Well, actually, he was on the Princeton, which was part of the Nimitz group, if I'm not mistaken, and he was part of that entire incident. He actually witnessed that, I believe, back. I think
And
it's
he was
2014.
on the
What
show
incident?
Tear in the Sky,
Wait,
correct?
but what
Yes,
incident was he a part of?
the Nimitz incident, the Tic Tac incident.
Ah, thank you, because there was probably somebody that probably did not know what
Oh, that's true.
incident. I'm like, what incident?
But yeah, he ought to be an interesting guest. I'm really looking forward to that interview,
Oh
considering I'm
yeah.
ex-Navy also.
Well, and then if he was a witness too, and that's the one that they've really been pushing in Congress and showing the pilots, giving testimony about it. So to actually have somebody that was there, that's huge. So
I
yeah,
believe he was the radar operator at the time.
yes, I read something about that new radar that they have. I can't remember what is it?
The
MAPPO?
Madar system. Yeah,
Madar. There we go.
he'll explain all that when he shows up. It's going to be wonderful. Like I said, I'm excited to have the interview with him.
Well, I
Very
know they have
grateful.
4 spots here in Montana of that radar. I looked at the map and I'm like, wow, there's 4 of them here. Why is there 4 of them here in Montana? Well,
Yeah,
we
if you
have,
click on the event page, I've actually got links that go back to each of our guests we're having coming up, and
uh
actually links back to their books and the stuff they're doing.
right.
So if anybody's interested before the show starts, you can actually go check that out on the
Yeah, and
website.
then you can ask
That's
questions.
coming clean. Yep.
Definitely. We have a comment section. Please introduce yourself, say hi. We would love to know who you are, where you are at, and if you have any questions or comments, if you want to share,
On our
please.
Facebook page.
No,
Yep.
I meant right now, live.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, in our comments. I'm pointing to where I see the comments. You guys don't
Oh,
see the comments where I'm at.
We're
I'm
getting
not a
we're getting used to
computer.
it, Granny.
I'm
Give
not a computer person, so I just see my screen and what I see. I don't know what the heck you guys are seeing. Hopefully the same thing. But
well,
yeah, please put
I
your
see we have a
comments
few
down.
viewers. Nobody said anything yet. I'm brand new at the podcasting thing. You're helping Michael and I along. Mike used to have a podcast, didn't you, darling? What was it called?
I don't even remember what it was called back then. Me and my friend John actually ran it for a while. It was really fun. We got to interview a lot of interesting people back then. That was at the advent of everybody getting into paranormal investigation. I think that was, what was that, 2016, 2014, somewhere in that range.
13?
It's
Yeah.
been a while back.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, is that we're not just talking about UFOs or, we're talking about, what was the word you said?
Paranormal,
Paranormal,
supernatural.
we're not,
Nothing's
Or
off
just
not
limits.
trying
out of the
to,
ordinary. So
yeah.
amazing things happen all the time to people, and you have to be there to actually see it happen. And it's not necessarily that it's paranormal. It's just the chances of it happening are so slim and none that it's amazing when it happens.
Oh,
For
here's,
instance, me and my
yes,
wife,
go ahead.
we were in the backyard last week, and we had I don't know if anybody had ever seen this. It was an optical effect where we looked directly above our head, and there's a rainbow literally going over our head during sunset because the humidity level was so high. But we had a rainbow going over the top of us and not at a distance. So that was
That's
pretty
cool.
cool. And you had to
Yeah.
be right. You had to be there in that spot to actually see it.
Yeah. Well, what about the people
So yeah, like I
that
said, there's
get
all kinds of cool
superhuman?
things.
Superhuman comes over them to save somebody, being able to lift a car off of
Right. And that
somebody that it's like there's so many
Well,
abilities
and
out
then
there.
you start right, and if you start interviewing these combat vets, I bet you're going to hear stories about stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
When they come in and start talking about some of the amazing stuff they've seen in battle zones and stuff, because yeah, human beings are amazing.
Yeah, and that's the
I
thing is
remember
that
hearing stories. Heard stories about people seeing giants over in the desert when I was in,
oh
but I always thought that was rumors, So if anybody was ever over there and saw giants, I'd be interested to see if they got pictures or if they had stories. I've heard all kinds of stories from all kinds of people all over the place.
well, if you think about all those tombs back east, what did they have those huge doors for?
Right.
They had to let somebody in. Somebody had to come in those huge doors. Otherwise, why? I mean, I was listening because I've been researching. I watched a program where they said that back in the old days that they did have giants. If you think about in the Bible, David and Goliath. Okay.
Well,
Um,
it's not. It's a lot of different literature actually talks about it. A lot of different
exactly.
countries.
That's what I was going to say, that it's not just the Bible. It's
Yeah.
all over the place in history of different beings that have, hieroglyphics. Am I saying that word correctly?
Not sure.
Hieroglyph.
Hieroglyphics.
Thank
Hieroglyphics.
you.
You're all right,
That are
Grady.
on, that depict, spaceships. What is that famous artist in Italy, in the Pope's house that has the
Galileo or Leonardo, or which
with the
which one of
flying
the group are you talking
saucer
about?
that has the flying saucer in the background?
Speaking of
I,
that area in Italy, I'd like to see what the Vatican archives hold.
I'd actually
Granny?
have to go look which Renaissance painting that is to be able to tell you.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, are you kidding? Sheesh, that building's like Fort Knox. I I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. I know there's a lot of people that are Catholics, and I have nothing against you. But why would they have all that being secret?
Why would you lock it down? What are you hiding? That's what I wouldn't want to know. If what you have is correct and you have nothing to hide, then show the world.
Yeah.
Because others are, I know I started going to Tibetan Buddhism because they teach everything you want to know. They don't hide anything. Everything's there. You
Right.
ask
So
questions and they answer. But you go
what are
to
the
the
records?
Christian churches and it's like they're hiding stuff.
Well, maybe some of them are. Yeah, I don't know.
Some
My
of the
church
ones I've
we
been to do.
but there's, like I said, there's so many different things out there, but that still have a little bit of everything in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so what, you can't say that this person's beliefs are wrong. It's what their truth is. And
Yeah.
that's the plan here, is that it doesn't matter what I believe, it doesn't matter what you guys believe, or anybody that comes on and talks about it. It's your truth, and you're sharing something that you've never been able to talk about. And that to me is bravery. That's an opportunity for others to learn. And I'm excited about that. Catholics don't show their slips. You mean like undergarment slips?
I don't know.
Thank you
Maybe
so much. So happy to see you all. Well, thank you. Who are you? Hey, Andy.
it's Sarah. That's my friend Sarah.
Hi. Oh,
She's.
that's so sweet. Thank you for coming
Thank
on.
you so much for watching. I really appreciate the support.
Eugene, I got to know, what kind of slips are we not don't show?
I do too.
Undergarment slips, or is there slips that you fill out like in um for attendance, or I'm confused on that one. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm just trying to know what you meant by that.
That is a good question, Granny, because
Yeah.
as women, we wear slips with dresses.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. He says They just don't share their secrets.
Ah, that's what you mean. Okay. No, they don't.
Mm-mm.
They don't. And that's why I kind of that kind of why? What are those secrets are so secretive that though not anybody can know about? Why only a certain person? But look at our own government does it.
Right. Well, and
So
that's something I don't understand, Granny. I've learned secrets cause separation and degradation. It
mhm.
causes societies to collapse
But it
and
also
fall
keeps them
in.
from coming together,
Right.
which
If
is what they
the
don't
saying
want.
if the saying 6 degrees of separation is true, and it holds true that 6 people around the world get the same idea, then would it also hold true that they each get a different piece of the puzzle? And if we work together as the human race, all together as one, then and we use the internet to our advantage and put what we get out there, then we could get inventions, bam, 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 and advance faster than we ever have in the history of humanity. But you know why they don't do that? They don't
Here's
do it because they can't make money.
right. They got those big hats to not let those big heads show.
I
Oh, well, there's a lot of people that wear hats. That's for sure.
know.
That is for sure. And some of them are hidden hats. Let's put it that way.
Yes,
Um,
they are.
you know what? I want to, I'm going to play a little game with you, Peggy.
Okay.
I'm totally throwing you off guard. How does that sound?
I don't know about that. I don't like surprises, Granny. You know that.
I know that. That's why I'm doing it. Okay. When did you start to think that we were not alone in the universe?
I was a very young girl. Very young.
And why
Matter of
did you
fact,
think that?
oh, the first time was going to bed and I went in my bedroom and looked out the window. The blinds were open and there was 3 grays. What people in pop culture they labeled things. I don't like labels because it's restricting, but what they looked like appeared like were grays standing
Mm-hmm.
there. I jumped, screamed, and ran to the front of the house. And my mom's like, "I told you not to let her watch that horror movie." And my daddy humored me and came back. Well, I've always wondered, Granny, because growing up, my parents always took my brother on vacations, but never took me. And when we were at home, my daddy had to add locks to the top of the doors with chains way up high to where even if I stood in the chair, I couldn't get them out. And one time he did take me on the road with him, and we were in another state. I believe we were in Pennsylvania. And I specifically remember I thought I was dreaming that I walked down to the pool and was talking to somebody who I don't know, what I don't know. Suddenly, a man comes up, says, "Hey, you don't belong here. The pool's closed. Get back to your room." And I take off running. I suddenly wake up, boom, 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 into the vending machine outside my door where my father was asleep inside the hotel room. So I
Mm-hmm.
start yelling and screaming, "Daddy, daddy, daddy," banging on the door because he's a sound sleeper. He comes up and he's like, "How'd you get outside?" And he's cussing, and he was a veteran from Vietnam. And suddenly I hear, "Unlock." What the fuck? He unlocked every lock. How in that? And I started getting chewed out. Like I got outside and somehow magically locked everything behind myself after I got out. But you know as well as I do, you can't lock the locks that are on the inside, the chain locks and stuff like that. There's no way. And he told me, "Don't ever say this to your mom because it'll scare the shit out of her." And so I didn't. I thought, okay, I'd still be safe and get to go on trips if I kept my mouth shut. No, they started leaving me at home more and more and more. And it ended up becoming very depressing.
Mm-hmm.
But I still don't know how I ended up outside the room. And that wasn't the only time I ever woke up outside and had to bang on the door to get back inside the house. And that's very frightening and scary as a child, you know?
Well, yeah, that's trauma.
Yeah.
That's trauma. And that's the one thing that people don't realize that has children, that we look at things through our children eyes. And then as adults, we sit there and try to rationalize it away.
Yeah.
But our bodies never forget trauma. And
No, they
that's
don't.
where a lot of us have sickness. We experience pain that never goes away. And so, even though our brains may rationalize it and we may have suppressed memories, our body still doesn't forget that.
No, it
And
doesn't.
why, and so that's why people usually older in life, because the brain can only handle so much. At least this is what my counselor told me, okay?
Okay.
That they can only handle so much, and that it starts to bring back, kind of like how when you have PTSD, from the military,
Yeah.
you have those flashbacks. And you're going, whoa, wait a minute, where is this coming from? Is this my imagination? You start going and you're thinking, but wait, as a child, why would I be having this experience?
Right.
Why would, that would not be something that you would imagine. You can imagine it as an adult, but you certainly are not going to imagine it as a child.
No, you're not. Especially when
So,
it's that traumatizing, and then your parents get on to you for being outside, and you have no idea how you ended up outside to begin with. So you
no.
can't answer their questions that they're asking you. Have you,
And
Granny, ever had any experiences that are similar or out of this world?
yes.
Tell me.
Well, there's a couple. I had, as a child, I lived in a very small town. And, my time was when, you played outside until it was time to go in. You didn't go in and out. You didn't watch TV or any of that kind of stuff. You played outside. I mean, it was a great time to be a child. And it was night. It was in the summer. And we had a subdivision that we lived in, but it didn't have street lights. Okay. It
Bet that was
didn't.
nice. Could you see all the stars at night?
Exactly. And so
Oh, I
I
love
had
that.
I had a babysitter, and she was a neighbor across the street. I would say she was probably 3, 4 years older than I was, and I was about 7 or 8. And we were outside, and I don't know if you remember those flood ditches that they would have, that they would let the waters come in and you would water your yards with. Okay.
Irrigation. Yes.
Yes, the irrigation ditches. And it would be all nice and grass and stuff like that. So we would like lay in that because it was a natural kind of recliner and
Right.
look up at the stars and try to,
Mm.
figure out this and that. Well, we had gotten done looking, and we were both standing, and um, there was a globe, and it was the most beautiful, beautiful globe. The closest that I can
About that
say,
big?
no, it was probably, um, I would say it was a good fort size. Like if you had, a child that you would build a tree house in, you know,
Oh, so not
it
like
was,
a drone size, not a drone orb, like a small one that they send in to see stuff, but
no,
a
no, no, no,
big
no,
one that was
a
a
big
craft.
orb.
Okay.
Yeah, a big
Okay.
one. And it was like, I'd say maybe 15 feet in front of us, that
Oh,
I
wow.
had I wanted to just touch it. But it was multicolored, and it was iridescent, sort of, but it was solid, if that makes sense. And
Yes, ma'am,
um,
it does.
but it was so, so beautiful. And I was so drawn to it, so drawn to it. And like I said, I was wanting to go up and try to touch it. I wanted to be with it. That it was pulling, that sensation.
It was pulling
And
you, it was drawing you in with love, wasn't it?
it wasn't, I did not feel threatened. No, no. I was more curious. I was one of those curious kids. I always got nosy. And so, yeah, I wanted to know what that was. I wanted to touch it. I've always been a toucher, you know.
I
And
have too. I'm very touchy. I clothes. I'm very picky on clothes, particularly on what I wear, because the complex regional pain syndrome made me ultra sensitive.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's so bad, Grady. There were nights I had to sleep in the nude because if I had clothes on, the rubbing between the clothes and I was feeling both of those, and it was like double whammy when it rubbed against my leg where the nerve damage was, and
Mm.
it made me more touchy feely about, particularly about what I allow in my space as far as touchy
Yeah.
feeliness goes.
Well, I was going closer towards that. You know, I had my hand outreached. I wanted it. I wanted to touch it. And my babysitter grabbed me back. And so when she grabbed me back, I looked back at her. And when I looked back up at the orb, it was just like, boom, it was gone. It just went,
Oh wow!
it just was instant. I mean, it's like, it didn't, it's like you saw it leave and then it was like it went so fast, it was like it was gone. And I'm like looking, and she said, don't you dare ever say anything about what you just saw. And I'm like, okay. I didn't understand that she was taking it as a negative. I completely took it as, this is cool. You know, I wanted to touch it. I wanted to see what was in it. You know, I was drawn to it. And I probably could have gotten way closer if she hadn't stopped me.
I would
That
have
that's
too.
one of them. That's one of them.
What's do you want to hear Michael if he's got any?
Oh yeah, where is he?
Here I am.
Oh, you're in your cockpit there. How's it looking from up there down on this little Earth?
Bit stuffy up here, actually. Anyway,
You need better oxygen.
oh no. I can actually tell you a story. Back when I was doing paranormal investigations, we had set up some of our equipment, which just mainly was audio equipment, so we could capture EVPs and such. And we were sitting in this room, and I can literally, and some of the other guys could hear it too, and you could hear it inside your head. It sounded like somebody screaming. Interesting fact, our audio
I
equipment
agree.
caught somebody screaming, and at the end of the table we start seeing this shadow forming in a chair, and it kept ramping up, and before it was over with, we literally had to get out of the room. We actually had what looked like smoke coming from the corners of the room, like it was trying to reach out and get us and affect us. That was a pretty intense experience.
I would
Oh,
have
cool.
been. Did you? I
Hey,
That
actually.
Eugene, if you
Mike,
don't mind me asking, all the times I got it. What I was getting at, Eugene, did you by chance, did it make you more spiritual the more you actually looked into it?
I know it did for me. What about you, Grady? While we're waiting for Eugene to respond,
No, I
really?
Really?
completely. Yeah, I did not. I shut it out because I
Hmm.
was.
That's what a lot of
When
people do.
yeah, she is. She scared me. That the orb did not scare me. She scared me. And so I was like,
Hmm.
okay, that's something awful. I was wanting to do something awful, obviously. I was to blame, and, something
Like
I
they were
did
bad
wrong,
people,
or what
right?
I was doing was bad. Hmm.
The interactions I've had have always been positive. The ones that I remember have been positive.
Well,
You
yeah,
know,
mine
and
was.
from the research I've done, they've been here this entire time. They've never gone anywhere. The only reason we can't see them is either one, belief systems have changed, and people are told that they don't exist, so they can't see them, or two, it's not safe for them. Not
Well, there's
safe for them because if their people are crashing on our planet and we're experimenting on their bodies and stuff, I wouldn't want to come meet you either.
well, they're supposed to be
That's just
very
my
fragile.
opinion.
They're supposed to be very
Mm-hmm.
fragile. The one gentleman that was on the 3 different bases that the aliens were staying at, um, the grays actually was a gray suit. And once they removed the gray suit, that they were white and their hair was translucent, that they did have some hair. Some of them had them long hair. Some of them had shaved hair, but they looked bald because it was translucent. And so it was interesting. Now, what did he say? I missed that.
He said, I
There you
already
go.
was raised spiritually. I was always taught that we aren't human beings having a spiritual experience, but rather spiritual beings having a human experience. And I tend to agree with that. From what I've learned with people that have passed and way in my life, I've learned that a life is eternal, Granny, and that we're here to
Oh,
learn
I agree.
lessons. I've learned that if you don't pay attention, you're going to keep having those same lessons happen over and over again. The same bad things happening over and over again with different people and different scenarios. But that lesson that you're supposed to be learning is identical. And once you learn that lesson, you don't have to repeat it and you can move on.
I've had to learn lessons over and over. I'm a slow learner on a lot of things.
We all learn
You
at
do know
different.
sometimes when you repeat lessons, I think actually you're experiencing all the different versions of the lesson.
And
Oh, I never thought about that.
they say slow and steady wins the race, Granny.
Hey, that's it. But you know what is really odd, and I know pretty much anybody that I've asked, deja vu.
Yes.
What about that? How freaky is that? How freaky? I mean, I can be having a conversation, sitting, getting my hair cut, and I'll be like, deja vu. And the person will be like, what? What? And I'm like, just this moment I've seen before. This exact moment.
You know what? I had a dream one time that made me think about deja vu. You want to hear about it?
Well, yeah.
Okay,
No, don't tell me.
it was so strange, Granny. It was like I was living a life out and interacting and everything, and I was pissed off because I was having to come back to Earth. And I'm like, what fucking episode are we on? This is fucking bullshit. And they're like, take 248. And I'm like, take 248. Fine. Fucking dandy. And Mike was just like laughing as he went, and we both laid down in bed and we both sat up awake at this same exact moment. That's why I've never forgotten that dream. When you look up 248, angel number meeting, people look at symbology, numerology, and stuff like
Uh-huh,
that.
uh-huh.
That means working together as a family. So that makes me wonder if the deja vu is because we've been through this so many times, and the deja vu is you actually remembering, and this time we're all supposed to come together and work as one to make things right. That's the way I took that dream.
That's
Is maybe that's
interesting.
what the deja vu is about. I don't know. What do you guys think? Because that dream just blew my mind. I
I
was like,
can
I've never had a dream to where I'm awake and I feel like I'm wide awake, and then I lay down in bed, but actually wake up here on Earth.
I
Oh, I've
can
had
probably
that.
speak to that a little bit.
Go ahead.
The there's a lot of philosophical theories about time and space not actually existing and everything's a projection from your mind. Well, if I was to logically follow this, that means you can remember the future as well as remember your past and the present moment, which means when you have a deja vu, back when you first experienced it, you were having a future memory. And then you're remembering that moment you had that future memory. So you get the deja vu effect.
So it goes to the everything all at once and nothing at all type situation, the Big Bang, and how everything just boom, and everything's happening all at once, and you can remote view or astral project to any time you really want to. There's no restrictions. Is that what you're saying, honey? Oh wait, Eugene says my great grandmother used to tell me that there were always hidden messages in art. Take the Mona Lisa. There's a group called the Paranormal Crucible that examines these theories in depth. Interesting. I never knew about that. Have you ever heard of that?
I think that's what
No, I
I
haven't.
was
That's something
talking
new to
about,
me.
where that there's pictures that artists have done, that have, like I said, alien ships in the background. Speaking of dreams, any thoughts on lucid dreams? Well, what is a lucid dream? Is that a dream that you're awake in? You're
That
dreaming,
is
but
a
you're awake?
dream where you're actually you're interacting with stuff in the dream, and you realize you're in a dream.
People practice meditation to do lucid dreaming. What they'll do is they'll go in with the intent of having a lucid dream and controlling the dream. I believe that's what you're referring to. I'm not sure, because
It's
I
more or
try to
less.
remember.
It's kind of like
I try to
it's
remember
like
my
virtual
dreams,
reality a little bit.
but I don't. There's very few dreams I ever remember. Usually, the only dreams I remember end up coming true later, and so I've gotten in the habit. If I dream, I write it down.
Oh, I dream all the time. In fact, if I have, one of the things that has been really weird with me is that if I have dreams of people that are getting pregnant or are pregnant, and the reason I have them is if I have three dreams, the exact same dream, three of them, that person's pregnant. And I'll ask them, "Are you pregnant?" "Yes." "How did you know?" Or they'll
Hmm.
say, "No, not that I know of." I'm like, "Yeah, you're pregnant. You need to go get a test." And yeah, it showed positive. I'm like, "Yep."
Sounds like you're a
So,
medical intuitive, Granny.
oh, I don't know about that. But I just know about, if I have three dreams on somebody being pregnant, I believe it, you know. But I'm a little bit lost on the lucid dreams because I'm a very big dreamer, very big dreamer. I
Well,
remember
it's
all my dreams. So it's
I,
like, what does that
in a
mean?
nutshell. In a nutshell, you're in your dream, right?
Hmm.
Instead of you experiencing the dream full on like it's reality, you're actually aware that you're in a dream, and you're interacting with things in the dream and making choices to affect the dream. Whereas if you're just experiencing a dream, you're just experiencing the dream.
Oh,
Well,
just like role play.
something I've noticed that you can tell in difference in dreams is look for your hands and your feet. Always look for your hands and feet. That'll be able to tell you if it's a dream or if it's like something that's training or memory forward or
Or you're out
back,
of body
or
even.
you're out of body. That's something I've learned to pay attention to when I remember dreams.
Well, then I would have to say yes on both. I can do where I am controlling the dream,
Yeah, that's lucid dreaming.
Hmm.
okay, that I am controlling it and where I want to go, what I want to do, and how I want it handled. And then there's parts to where I am part of the dream, but also I am experiencing it like I am with you. Like we're talking, I can see from my perspective in my dream. Like I can see my hands and I'm walking over here or over there. Now, let's see. Lucid dreams are sometimes memories you haven't created yet. Hmm.
Ah,
I wonder if
I
that
did
would
not
be
know
part
that.
of the deja vu thing too. See, this is
Right.
all so
See, and I
interesting.
think that's why I don't like labels, Granny, because when you start labeling things, have to start creating more labels because they think they have to be more specific. And that starts creating the separation and the degradation. And that's why when people say, "Oh, I'm going to this social media, they just created it." I'm like, "Nope, nope, I found the one I like. I'm sticking with it. You want to talk to me? This is the one I'm at." Because if something's not broken, why not improve upon it? Why do we have to have multiple different things? If we're wanting to get better, then we need to work together to create better things with what we have. That's the way I look at it. And if
Right.
everybody
Well,
is working on their highest passion at all times, doing what they love, then the greed will go away. Because I know when I do the things I love to do, like this show, for example, I don't want a
hmm,
penny for it because I worked in
well,
law
no.
enforcement. Um, I have a Reiki certification and I love art. And so I'll be able to combine the three things I love doing a hobby 1 hour a week with you here. And with your permission, I'll be your producer, or Michael will be for your show that's coming. Please correct me, Granny. Bet's chatting with Granny
That's
Lisa.
Chatting with Granny Lisa. Yeah. And
Speaking of,
that's a
you have a
show.
show coming?
I do. I have a show coming up on the 6th, and it is going to be such a cool show. Okay, because what I do is I stick mainly with veteran subjects because I have found that um, there's a lot of veterans that don't know about a lot of programs. And so my show is about giving them an opportunity to talk about different programs, talk about their issues, and giving a place for veteran organizations that are veteran run, um, a place to come and share what they are doing and how you can help. And so, with my guest is going to be, which is when I say veteran run, this is going to be interesting because she's out of Florida, and her name is Marie, and they do several different programs for women veterans, which is really rare to find
Very.
women veterans help, okay, strictly for women. And she has created her and her nonprofit has created a home. And it's not just any kind of home. I'm telling you, this home is beautiful and it is organized and it is ready to, they're in a place that's safe. They will have transportation, education if they need it. It is to transition them to become back into society with a strong hold of mental health, physical health, and being able to survive and go after their dreams after service. And because as you know, I have not I have not met a female vet that has not experienced some sort of MST. And MST is
Military sexual trauma. And ladies, just so you know, they are never, ever allowed to take you in a room without another female present to discipline you. I did not know that when I was in, hence why my MST was so bad. I was the only female in my unit,
mhm,
and I got railroaded a lot.
yeah. So when I have not, like I said, not come across any female in the veterans sect that have not experienced some kind of MST. So they deal with that. They help our women veterans mentally, getting them help and education. And one of her co-partners is a veteran female. And so I am going to have her, Marie, and Catherine on, and they are going to share their vision. And they have this lady has such a network, and the people that her community are so on board on helping our veterans and especially our females that it's just amazing. So I'm excited to see how she got this going first off, and hopefully there will be other females or other organizations that can take what she's doing and start it all over the USA for our female veterans or even our VAs. Let's put it that way, because the VAs do not have separation for our mental health when we are dealing with in the hospital with MST. You are surrounded by men. You are surrounded
Yes,
by men.
ma'am.
You are not in a secure place. You do not have a locked, secure room to sleep in. You are exposed. You cannot relax. And you are surrounded because most of the time it's not females in there. And I can personally say that when I was in the hospital, in the mental hospital at the VA, that I was the only female on that floor of male veterans that were psychotic, PTSD, and I had my own section of a room, but they could not lock the door. Oh, supposedly
Yep.
they had a guard out there, but each time I got up, I never saw a guard. So
I
you know,
wanted to be put in the isolation room, Granny. I know what you're talking about. There's nobody guarding your shower. They don't even give you a
no,
shower curtain.
no,
None of that. So people, when
no.
you're in that mental health section of the VA, you're unprotected if those nurses are not paying attention to the men.
Oh yeah.
There might be
And
cameras
most of
everywhere.
them, I never had a female nurse up there. They were all male nurses because if a male veteran got out of hand, those females were not going to be able. So I was literally the only woman. And so you can see that you could, oh, you had the required group section of counseling, you know, and these men, God bless them, they went through a lot too. I'm not discounting that. And my heart went out to them.
And some of them have military sexual trauma from women. So it's not fair if we're
Mm-mm.
suffering in mental health problems to put us together like that, because they will lash out at us because women hurt them. And so then we're
Oh,
going to
yeah,
get help and we're triggering each other, and they're not doing a damn thing about it but sitting back and watching and feeding pills.
exactly. Exactly. Feeding you pills. That's the other thing. You're an
And also
experiment.
they don't encourage you to eat the healthy fruits at snack times. They push the junk food, knowing that within 15 to 30 minutes the veteran's going to be hungry and angry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad. It's all an experiment. Every time I went in there, I asked every single veteran, what caused you to come here today? And what did they diagnose you with? And what did they put you on? Every single one of them said the exact same thing, Granny.
Medication. Yep.
I was like, oh, we're just big lab rats in a lab experiment. Holy cow.
Yeah.
And so I started looking at the rest of the system in the VA. I started looking at the whole health stuff, the meditation. The reason I had to go outside the VA is because they're half-ass teaching it. Excuse my language, but they are.
Mm-hmm.
And with yoga, I realized that the other day because I've been looking online and learning from other yoga instructors. And I'm like, oh, they won't let them do this, the namaste in yoga. There is a very important reason you put your hands together when you're doing that. Do you know what I mean? It's all has its function and formality. You start taking that away because you think it's stupid. Guess what? You're taking away from the whole process that heals them. So
Mm-hmm.
what they're doing is they're half-ass teaching it. So you end up injured. They're doing it. They won't do it in person. They're making you do it on the
Online.
video.
Yeah.
And when you're on video, you can't see if a person starts having muscle spasms, and you can't hear them because they make them mute it. So if they're having a problem and they're alone, they're going to lay there for 59 minutes to however long until the instructor gets over there to the video and says, oh, somebody's having a heart attack or something, and calls 911.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we should be in person so they can correct the form and make sure that you don't get muscle strain or injury. They have set this up, this whole health, this new age stuff. They're half-assing it again so they can make more money. When they could just ask the Buddhist monks, who we all looked up to in the military. Anytime I was in strife or hardship in the military, I looked up to them for strength, for endurance, for their combat skills every time. They are experts at meditation. They have experts and yoga masters. You know, they would be more than happy, probably, if they were asked. I'm not going to speak for them, but, you know, if they would teach me, I'd be more than happy to teach their vets the proper way. I'd go and learn however long it took. I don't care, because I think it's important you learn the proper way to do everything so that you don't get injured. That's the whole reason we're going in, is to get better.
We were taught the proper way in the military. We were taught the proper way on how to use the weapons, how to do this, how to do that, how to clean the weapons, those were our babies. You know, that was part of us. You did not do anything to that. You know, you took care of it. But, you know, that's what my show is about. We go into details about not only the problems that are happening, but also how to solve or come up with different solutions, you know, like Peggy was talking about. And then we also talk about, I just lost my train of thought because Mike came in, and each time I see him in the space thing, I go, I want one, I want one.
Hey, honey, you missed a spot back there on that one glass mirror. You see it?
Yeah, there's a big spot back there.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. There you go. Okay.
There you go. You got it.
I want a space one.
I've got a real big question actually for Granny.
Me?
When are
Oh,
you going to
Lord.
start reading more books? Yes. When are you going to start reading more books to children? I think that was a wonderful idea.
I loved doing that. That's what started Granny Lisa. Is I'm a natural granny. Okay, I can't help it. I love children. I have, 4 grandchildren myself, but uh, I think because of my childhood, I want to give that granny love. Everybody needs that granny love, and I didn't have a grandma. Um, when I was growing up. And so my persona of what I think a granny should be is who I am. And so when I was looking to do something for healing of myself, because I can't do a lot of physical stuff, but I can read. And so I started reading on Facebook, doing live Facebook, reading children's books to children. And I got a very small following. And what got me started even bigger was there was a podcast that a veteran did, and 22 minutes a day. And that was TMR. And his show was to do a live show 22 minutes a day on veteran suicide. And so he would bring veterans on live and talk about what they did, what's going on, just to do like what we're doing. We're here. You're not alone. And so my daughter was a big fan of his. And so she said, my mom's here. My mom's here. And so he goes, oh, okay. So he brought me on. And so I was telling him what I did. What happened was amazing that those veterans fell in love with me. I want you to be my grandma. I want you to be my granny. And so they would start reaching out to me, wanting to talk. They just needed grandma's love. They just needed to hear it's going to be okay. I love you. I may not know you, but that doesn't mean I can't love you,
That's right.
know? And so that's why I started doing Vets Chatting with Granny Lisa. And I hope I'm making a difference. And I want to be able to just give that granny love that some people just need to have, you know. And
Granny, I'd like to, if you don't mind, I'd like to tell you thank you for being there for me when I was doing the support groups a while back with that one organization and coming in and being patient and kind with me because I was fighting every word. I stuttered. It was a fight to get every word out. And you were patient, loving, and compassionate. And you tell me the same thing my husband said, just breathe. And that really, really helped me. And I'm forever grateful for that. And that's why I asked you to continue working with me. And because I have PTSD, and I've got an attitude. I know I do have an attitude problem. I'm working on it, trying to learn from mistakes. I don't like hurting people.
You mean you're
you're
a work in progress? You're a work in progress like the rest of us?
Yes, ma'am. And that's why I want to start the chats back up, and we'll have a monthly on the third Saturday of the month, time to be determined. But we're going to have a mess call because I'm a work in progress, and we're all works in progress.
That's
and
right.
I'm not going to have age limits on this Zoom call because our entire families are affected. I have friends that are children therapists, and if we have to have an earlier day Zoom call for children, then I'll call in my friends that are children's therapists, and we'll have an earlier separate call just for the children. It's all in what's demanded, what is needed. Right. We need your feedback. What is needed? And the reason we're opening it to everybody is because my husband only has Champ VA because he had to quit working. He was fired from 2 different jobs after I was removed from the caregiver program because they changed the policy, and we ended up in bankruptcy. And that's not right.
The biggest thing the biggest thing for everybody to remember, if you guys want to send us any ideas or your stories or anything, we've got to contact us on vetscomingclean.com. You can go there and submit whatever you'd like to us or to each individual show even.
If you
So,
want to
you
be a
know, just let
guest,
us know what's on your mind. Yeah, if you want to be a guest, you can be a guest. I mean, the main thing is just let us know who you are, you know.
oh
We
yeah,
have a
we're getting professional, man. We have our own website. I have never had a website in my life. I am so excited. Yeah, Mike, our IT guy, he is our creator here. Thank
yes,
you
he
so
is.
much.
Thank you,
He has to
darling.
So
deal
that means
with,
I get a raise, right? I get a raise, a multiplier raise off of what I was making already, correct?
correct. You're
Correct.
making triple zeros.
Yep.
Cool. I'm almost into four
Yeah,
digits.
you're almost into 4 digits. Almost. Almost. Only if I get to have an alien ship behind me.
Oh, we
We'll
can
see
work on
about that.
that.
I'm gonna work on that.
He's got all kinds of plans, Granny. This is going to be
I
fun.
know, I know. And that's what's so exciting is that we're not going to be all stuffy. I hope not. Yes,
No,
we will come out with some facts and we'll be serious. We may even cry. I'm a crier,
I
okay?
am too.
Well, sort of. I don't cry tears, but I get sad, okay? And my heart breaks when I hear stories and when people are suffering and hurting. And so I know that you guys are very compassionate, and we all, even though we may have different beliefs and different things, we have the same common goal. And
Yes, ma'am.
that's what I am excited about.
So
So,
we'll wrap up here. If you support free speech here in America, go to facebook.com/free speech Tibet. Support them as well, guys, because if we don't speak up for them, who will? We have to come together. We have to unite around the world and become one. Because one thing
mhm,
I've learned in my entire life that violence equals silence. Silence equals violence. I got that backwards. Anyway,
mhm.
well, because if you're silent, then you end up in war, which is violence. It's back and forth constantly. And so we've got to quit being silent, quit letting this violence take over. And we got to approach this with what's going on. We love each other. We care about each other. We want to evolve and grow as one. And I'd like to meet these people that are from around the universe. I don't know about you. And
Yeah,
so I just want to tell everybody, if you like this show, click like, and always remember, sharing is caring. Do you
right.
have
And
to
I want
say?
to add one other thing, and that is that, we need to, as humans, okay, we have lost the art of compassion for our fellow man.
The
If you
heart.
can, when you can walk by the homeless, and I know you see them every day, I know that it's hard to look at them. It's hard to realize that they're there, that that's their reality. Yes, maybe they've chosen that reality, but it's still hard to see it. So it's easier to just block it and walk right past them like they don't even exist. But some of them,
Well, Granny,
some of,
you don't know who they are. They ended
no,
up there. They could have ended up getting sick and missing one day of work, and that one day of missed work put them on the streets. When I was able to work, I'd work extra so I could take food in my car and blankets. So if I ran across them downtown Little Rock, then I could give back. Because my daddy
right,
always told me most of them are drunks. You don't give them money. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give them something to help them survive. I took them food and blankets, clothes,
right.
whatever I
And
could find
now
that they could.
look at look at our economy is shooting entire families. They have lost their homes, lost their jobs, having to buy a tent and live in a tent
Yep.
with their children. This is like
Yep.
middle class families that are becoming homeless. So it's not just people that are drunks or
Mm-mm.
druggies that are out on the streets. We have lost the art of our compassion for fellow man. Animals are showing more compassion towards one another than us humans do. You can see a
Well, I will
bunch of,
say one thing, Granny. There's one reason that people are ending up homeless, and I'll tell you why. There's certain states that if you end up disabled, did you know that that state will not pay your spouse to be your caregiver?
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
had a
yeah.
friend that his spouse had to quit her job, go to school to learn how to be a physical therapist to take care of him because he was injured so bad. He was just shy of the required time to enter in-house rehab. That's not right.
There's
If somebody needs
very many
rehab, you don't
people.
deny them that. That is
Well,
sentencing them to a death sentence.
well,
That's why I was like,
and
nope, no more. And so,
that's
you know what? I've
why
got a challenge
they're
for
doing it.
everybody, Granny. I got a challenge for everybody. After I saw
Hmm.
that, I started telling people, you know what? You see something, you say something.
Hmm.
And that's what I want everybody to understand. That's why we're going to have this show. People come forward, they see stuff, they're going to say something about it
Yes,
because enough is enough.
well, and that's it. I'm just using the homeless as an example because people live in different places. There's many things, but if you can just say a sincere hello and
Yeah,
actually look the person in the eye and, just give a compliment. I love giving compliments. If I see a young girl or a woman that looks beautiful, and I don't care what color, what race, whatever, if you are looking beautiful, I will stop and say, "Oh my gosh, you look absolutely stunning." I just have to say that. You look gorgeous.
I'm
You
the same
go,
way,
girl.
Granny. I'm the
And
same
and
way.
and that could have been a person that just had the worst day of her life. And just somebody acknowledging her in a human contact, in sincerity, that could have made a change in her day on going home and loving her children and not getting abusive or anything. Those
It
small
does.
acts make a huge ripple, make a huge ripple. So that's my challenge. This week, please, if you have an opportunity to be kind to somebody, do it. Do it. Even if it's somebody that cuts you off in the car lane and you want to flip them off. I have bad road rage. Ah, even if you want to, you could just blow them a kiss and say bye.
They must
Be
be having a
nice.
hard day and give
Yeah,
them
they need to
grace.
go. They need to go faster than I do.
That's absolutely right, Granny. I agree with
So
you 100%.
let's do 1 week of showing kindness in some way to someone.
Showing kindness and making sure if you see an injustice, you say something about it. And
Yes.
see if we can start changing things around here.
Why are we not watching our children? Why are our children not being, people are walking right past them being abducted? They've had TV shows on showing that people will watch this person grab the child and go down the alleyway and they just look and keep walking.
Wow.
And then, the producers are going to that person saying, "Did you not notice that child?" Yeah.
Right.
Did you realize that they were being taken? Yeah.
Right.
Why didn't you do something? It's not my business. What kind of
Yeah.
mentality are being, that's why I'm saying we're losing the art of humanity, our spirits, our
Who we are
kindness,
at our core.
who we are.
Right.
And if we aren't
We're,
doing
we're
that, I feel like the government is trying to destroy that so that way they can control us. If they take our
it's
humanity away and make us into more of a robot and control us and not question and not think for ourselves, then we're no longer human.
that's right. So
And so
thank you
that's,
everybody for tuning in tonight. It's been an hour and a half almost. We love you. We appreciate all
love
your love
you.
and your support. Spread the
Yes.
love, everyone. Spread the light. Have a good
Look
night.
on our
Thank you
website.
again.
Bye bye.